Hi, and welcome to another edition of Collectibles Chat. I'm Steve Zarelli. So I hope you're ready for a trip down memory lane, a little nostalgia. This may take a little bit of a different tone than some of my videos, but I wanted to share something. So it's the weekend, and my usual practice is I get up 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'll go for my morning walk, come back, make myself a coffee, and then I'll dive in and do some authentication submissions. I had a submission today that really struck a chord with me. It was 50 or 60 items, but a large chunk of those items were test pilots, X-pilots, X1, X15, some other test pilots. And it really just kind of brought me back in time to being a much younger collector. When I first started collecting in, the 90s, early 2000s, that was one of my main areas of focus. I love the test pilots. I love the stories behind it. And I collected that, very heavily. And it still excites me and gives me a lot of passion to this day. At the time, they were great signers. They were very receptive to mail requests, very generous. They'd even send you a letter back very often with your request. So it was a great experience for a very young collector. Even at the time, I think Jaeger was signing through the mail for free. He did start charging, but other than that, none of them charged through the mail. I think they appreciated being remembered, quite honestly. Unfortunately, they were overshadowed to a great degree by the astronauts who came later, but their contributions were critical. What they did led to the space race and what came afterward. And without the critical work that these test pilots did, there would have been no space race. There would have been no going to the moon. So amazing and heroic figures, super brave because quite honestly, it was really dangerous. A lot of them didn't make it. So it was an area that I really enjoyed collecting. So here's an anecdote about one of the legendary test pilots, Chalmers Slick Goodlin, who was an X-1 pilot. If you wanted, he was featured in the movie The Right Stuff a lot, which, they say is distorted and not exactly true, but clearly an early supersonic test pilot, a really interesting guy. And I did have an encounter with him that I'll never forget. It's March of 2003, and I'm in Florida for an air and space show that I was helping my buddy Al Hallonquist produce. I mean, he was really doing all the work. I was helping out with the show and with the guest and some logistics. But so before the show started on the weekend, Al said to me, "Hey, do you want to go have lunch at Slick's place?" I'm like, "You mean Slick Goodlin?" He's like, yeah. He says, we'll go there for lunch. We'll go to Slick's house for lunch. I mean, how am I going to say no to that, right? So, wow, I get to have lunch with a real ex-pilot. So Al was, kind of this gadfly. He knew a lot of the test pilots and, he would rub elbows with them and he had all the connections. He had everyone's phone number. We show up at Slick's house for lunch, and he has a beautiful home right near the water. Slick shows up at the door, and he's got that most interesting man in the world vibe long before the ad campaign. He has on a dinner jacket with a handkerchief in his pocket and beautiful slacks, and he brings us into the house. And it was an elegant, beautiful house. And his wife was there, and they proceeded to chit chat and then serve us lunch, and really like the most elegant, classy guy you could ever have lunch with. It was quite an experience. But the kicker is this: in Slick's dining room, he had a real full-size stuffed horse, and this horse was clad in shining armor. So he has a stuffed horse in like medieval shining armor with a knight in shining armor with the lance sitting on top of the horse. So this is in his dining room. It was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen, but like it was amazing. It was totally amazing. I'll never ever forget it. But that and Slick signed some stuff for us, and again, he was the super classiest guy in the world. What a fantastic experience! But like that, the horse and knight in shining armor in the dining room was just like the chef's kiss on that lunch. I'll never ever forget that, and what an experience. Slick is gone now. My buddy Al is, sadly gone. But thank you so much for that experience, Al. If you're listening, it was fantastic, and I'll never forget it. So there you have it. This flood of memories coming from a submission that I worked on this morning. Where am I going with this? It's important to remember that in a short time, this will be a long time ago. So enjoy the moment, enjoy what you're doing now, enjoy your friends, your mentors, um, because things change. Things change. I think about guys like Al and Slick and a lot of the other guys who were my mentors when, I was 20 something, and they're gone now. And I miss them. Yes, it's very easy to get caught up in the day to day drama of the hobby. And believe me, there's a lot of drama. But I'd like to think that it's more than just accumulating stuff, right? At the end of the day, it's about making connections and the people that we meet along the way that makes it all worthwhile. So, with that, I'll say thanks for listening. And until next time, happy collecting.